Welcome to the Emporia Public Schools podcast. I am your host, Dr. Allison Anderson Harder, Superintendent. This podcast is our way to provide students, staff, parents, and community members easy access to information on a variety of topics. Once you've listened to an episode, we encourage you to use the electronic link to provide feedback or ideas about the episode to which you just listened, or to share ideas for future episodes. Today, we are visiting with Mrs. Allie Macias and Mr. Troy Chapman, who are two of the school counselors from Emporia High School. Welcome, Allie and Troy.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We'll talk a little bit about yourself and how you came to work for Emporia Public Schools. Should we start with our veteran, Mr. Troy Chapman?
Okay. So this is, I believe, 32 years here at USD 253. Started off as a fourth grade teacher at Maynard Elementary for 10 years, and then Timmerman and Riverside schools were built, so our staff moved to Riverside, and I spent 5 years there. While I was teaching, I completed my master's in school counseling and was coaching here at the high school, and was just kind of ready for a different chapter and change. I enjoyed being around the students who I was coaching, so opportunity came up, and I've been out here at the high school for 17 years. So it was just a good change.
Awesome. We're glad you're here. Allie, how about you?
So for my experience, I kind of came from a different route. I worked kind of in the foster care side of things. I worked with SOS. I was a CASA volunteer. And then as I was finishing up with my degree, I had to get some of those practicum and internship hours in. And so my husband has been employed with the district as well. So this is his 16th year here. So I started in 2014 with our JAG program. So Jobs for America's Graduates, Kansas. So that program really worked with an at-risk population just to kind of give them the skills that they needed for success. And I thought it was a perfect segue into the counseling department. So that's where I've been. This is my third year in that role. So it's just been a nice change and being able to support our students in a different role now. So
that's awesome. Well,
yes.
Thank you both. We'll talk, counseling, there's not really a typical week, but talk a little bit about your role and then what a typical week might look like, kind of depending on the season. Allie, do you want to jump in first?
Right before Troy and I were having a little bit of a discussion about what is a typical week, and there isn't one. So I think that's what I enjoy most about this job, is that there is such a variety in the things that we do. 1 week, especially right now, we're really focusing on enrollment. So lots of presentations with our students, really kind of that one-on-one, making those selections for those individual plans of studies for our students, exploring the tech college as an opportunity or some of those dual credit classes. And so that's kind of where our focus falls in the springtime. And then obviously in between, you are addressing those social emotional concerns. And, that's something that hasn't really changed. We're really focusing on attendance and making sure that the students are having success in their classes. So there just really isn't a typical day.
Yeah.
Troy, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with what Allie said. You just never know what each day is going to bring, and at different parts of the school year, you have certain responsibilities and things that you're overseeing. But each day is just a little bit different.
Well, and probably in the spring too, scholarships. So for graduating seniors, there's always been a really impressive amount of money that the seniors have earned every year through scholarships. So talk a little bit about your role in that and that career planning, and then just helping them look ahead to if it's higher ed or if they're going to the workforce. What does that look like? Troy?
Yeah, so our community is very gracious on the amount of money that they provide our students in scholarships, and we have a lot of students who apply for those, and it's really competitive, and it's always exciting to see at our senior assembly those students who are headed off to post-secondary education and the scholarships that they're receiving. So,
Awesome. Thank you. Allie, how about you?
We each kind of have a role in our department. Each one of us works with a different grade level. So I work with our junior class. And so really it's more of that preparation piece for thinking ahead. What clubs and activities are the students involved in? What community service are they focusing on to really kind of make themselves a little bit more marketable when it comes to those scholarship opportunities? And then Roxana Peraza oversees our senior class. So we pair up a lot on anytime we get scholarships emailed to us from organizations. We do post that on our senior classroom page. So if you are a senior parent or a student, everybody is invited to that page at the beginning of each school year. So we strongly encourage, if you have not done so, that you either email one of us or touch base with your student. They should have an invite for that because we are posting opportunities daily. And so I don't think a lot of our families realize, because we hear this so often, oh, we're going to take a break from school to maybe work and save up money. But there's just so much money out there. And it's really just taking that time to apply and seek those opportunities. So again, if you've not done so, make sure that you get on that page, kind of oversee that with your kiddo. If you have an underclassman at this point, some things that you could be focusing on could be kind of that prep piece, making sure that they have maybe a general essay that they can kind of adapt to each of those things. And they're getting out there, they're getting involved, and really just making themselves marketable for those opportunities in the future. And then maybe not just scholarships, but with those CTE pathways and with our discounted rates with agreements through ESU, FHTC, students do have the opportunity to take some of those college classes and those tech programs at a discounted rate. So that definitely significantly helps our families out. So just exploring those options, reaching out to us, coming and visiting with us, maybe at conferences as well, just because there's so much out there.
Well, and the number of students that graduate with a number of already college credits is pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of being a school counselor? Allie, Troy, whoever wants to go first.
Want me to go?
You go.
Okay. So, I would just say probably what I enjoy the most, which would be most rewarding for me, is those students who finally figure it out, their junior, senior year, what they plan on doing after high school, and just seeing the excitement and that they have for, that next chapter and what they're going to be doing. And that's something I enjoy. Takes a little while for some students to get to that point. So, over the 17 years I've been here, you see them start off as freshmen, and they're not really sure what they're doing or where they're going, and the more classes they take here at Emporia High School, the more experiences they have, jobs in the summer in our community, and they start to develop just a path for themselves. So, just guiding them.
Awesome. Allie, how about you?
For those in my department and who know me, I'm a story sharer. And my experience kind of growing up and to get to where I am is probably a little bit more different than some of my other peers and colleagues. And so I think just being able to think about like where I had come from to where I am now, and then, being able to kind of support our students in navigating that for them as well. And so not every student's path is the same, and that's okay. Not all of our students plan to go to post-secondary education or, have a true plan. And so just being able to support them in those everyday needs, and then watching them grow. I know, like as Troy shared, seeing where they start off in freshman year, and then we have those students that are just a pain in the butt sometimes, and then being able to kind of work through that with them and help them grow, and then see as they develop the success that they have, I think is the most rewarding part.
Is there, there's lots of success stories I'm sure both of you can share. Is there one that kind of sticks out that, of course, confidentiality, but just to describe a success story of a student? Troy?
Okay. Yeah, just this week, had a young man in my alphabet who, he's a senior, struggling a little bit, and he is going to be moving into an apartment on his own. A parent is moving away, and he wants to stay here and finish, and just trying to work his schedule out and make sure that he's successful here so that he can graduate. But just the email back from him thanking me for helping him out. So yeah, little things like that mean a lot.
That's nice. Allie, how about you?
Over the years, I can think of a lot of success stories, especially when I think back to like our working in my role in the JAG program, because you do build such a close connection with a smaller group of students. So I have a variety through there. And, that was probably my biggest fear, transitioning into a counseling role where your student population size increases, much more of, am I going to maintain those same types of relationships? And I definitely feel like I have. And so something that I feel like I see a lot, and I think this is kind of just a part of society that has kind of evolved over time, or maybe the openness of that, is our student population, maybe through like gender identity, and kind of being open with parents about that, and maybe not knowing how to have that conversation. And so I had the opportunity to really work with a student who was struggling with that. Parents weren't aware. They preferred a different pronoun. They had a different preferred name. And so that's something that we have to navigate as counselors on the confidentiality side of that and respecting those boundaries, but then also helping that student find out who they are and be open about that. So I had the opportunity to sit down with that student and their parent, and they had an open conversation, and it was a difficult conversation. But I could see and feel the relief in that moment. And then that parent accepting that student and really kind of taking those steps to mend that relationship and identify with who that student was and support them through that. So I think that was a really great opportunity.
That's awesome. Thanks, Allie. Thank you, Troy. What would you say is your favorite part of the job? Troy?
Well, so I kind of touched on that earlier, but just working with students on getting them to the point where they graduate and what it is they're going to do after high school. So that's probably what I enjoy the most.
I would agree. I think once it's the most stressful time, but once you're at graduation and you see all of the students lined up, ready to go, walking across that stage, and then they acknowledge you, they wave, they smile, you feel like you've made an impact. And I know that our teachers have, and everybody in our buildings, and for these students, those educators throughout. So it's such an impactful thing to build that connection with somebody who believes in you. And I hope when a student leaves here, knowing that they had a lot of people when they're sharing those memories, we all do. I remember my teacher from the 4th grade, or I remember when this happened in this class. And that's such a big part of our lives. And so just being able to see them walk across that stage and be a part of that moment.
We both have covered a lot of territory and a lot of details, which has been very helpful. Is there anything else that you want to touch on that either I haven't asked or you haven't shared?
Yeah, so I still have a couple things that I noticed. One of the questions that might have been asked was, what advice would you give to students facing academic challenges or personal difficulties? And then, how do you manage the delicate balance between maintaining confidentiality and involving parents? And one thing that comes to mind is just that communication piece for students and staff, but students need to, have those conversations with their teachers each day and build those relationships. When it comes to academic challenges, if they haven't been here at school and they need to get caught up, they've got to develop those relationships with their teachers, and then picking up the phone and calling parents is something that I think is really important, so that parents know, because as we all know, students don't always share information with their parents, or sometimes they don't see their parents in the evenings when they get home. So just communicating more, I think, is really huge.
It's really making a team of the educators, the students, the parents. It is a big, important educational team.
Yeah, being a team.
Thank you.
I would add on to that. I think that there has been kind of some negative views in society as a whole centered around education. We see it on social media, and that platform has really kind of opened up a place to share good and bad things. So it's not all bad, but how do we highlight those positive things? And how do we build those connections? And I think sometimes there's fear with our teachers reaching out to parents. I think when parents get a call, sometimes there's this fear of what's wrong now. And so just highlighting those positive moments and building those connections, I think, is so important. And how do we bridge that gap? How do we, have that parent involvement, that student engagement, and really that staff buy-in to making this a positive environment that our students want to come to every day. And I think that starts with that communication piece, and that continues to grow. And I think even opportunities like that, like we are all just human. And so how do we, open that opportunity for students to see that, for parents to see that, and just have that openness to touch on things that are not always comfortable. So that would be my piece of advice for all parties involved.
The other thing that I wanted to just put a plug in for was just the wonderful opportunity that our students have across the street from Emporia High School at the Flint Hills Tech College. Always feel like we need to have way more students being a part of those different programs across the street. I think they have 17 different programs of study over there that our students are able to be a part of, starting many of them their junior year, where they're over there for a half a day, and then they're here at Emporia High School for the other half of the day. But yeah, high wage, high demand careers over there, hands-on, and there is a huge demand for many of those careers out in the workforce right now. So I just think it's a gem that we have over there, and wish that more of our students would take part in that. But
high demand, and they can make a really great salary also.
Yeah, and every time I speak with some of those professors over at the tech college, they share with the students and with us that they receive phone calls from manufacturing companies and different employers that they're ready to hire students as soon as they're as soon as they complete those programs over there, there's waiting lists for students to be hired. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Well, thank you, both of you, for that. And thank you for the important role that you fill as counselors at Emporia High School. Very, very important to our students and our teachers, parents, community. Appreciate the work you do.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
We will end on our Emporia Public Schools mission statement. We engage, we empower, we inspire. Thank you for listening, and watch for upcoming episodes.